most of the books that did not meet Florida standards for whatever reason happen to be in the early grades. As you get into the older grades, most of those books did meet the standards, but we're going to continue to focus the education on the actual strong academic performance of the students. We don't want things like math to have some of these other concepts introduced. It's not been proven to be effective, and quite frankly, it takes our eye off the ball.
What? Are they banning books? What's going on in Florida? This is an outrage. Joining me now, my friend John Cardillo. He's a TV host, also a Florida resident who may know a bit more about this than most. What books are they getting rid of down there, John?
They're getting rid of a bunch of books that shouldn't be in schools in the first place, Jesse. And let me just say this. Ron DeStantis deserves a Medal of Freedom for being the only Republican politician willing to take on and call out one of the most evil people in America, one of the people most responsible for what I consider serial child abuse in the United States, Randi Weingarten, the head of the American Federation of Teachers. What she's done to students over the last 2 years of COVID is absolutely reprehensible. DeSantis took her on, and these are textbooks that have infused critical race theory, inappropriate sexual content into STEM education. It's a woke backdoor intrusion of the worst kind into the school system. Even worse, Jesse, targeting little kids, kindergartners, first graders, second graders, third graders. DeSantis is so right on this and so far ahead of the curve. He's the model every Republican should be following. And the question is, why aren't they?
Okay, John. Why aren't they? I mean, look, it's not like Heavy D's pulling these moves and we're all chucking rotten tomatoes at him. He's pulling these moves and he's becoming quickly the leader of the Republican Party. If not, he's very close. These are working. Why isn't every Republican doing the same?
They're afraid. They're gutless cucks, like I used to call them, gutless cuckolds. They are terrified. Look, today, Kevin McCarthy, the weakest Republican in leadership in years, far weaker than Paul Ryan. We now know that the January 6th committee, that sham committee, recently leaked thousands, 2,000 plus confidential text messages to CNN. Where's the Republican majority leader on this? Where is the worst GOP chair in history, Ronna McDaniel? Why isn't every Republican in America standing up and screaming? Because they are useless and gutless. The establishment GOP is worse for the right, for the America First movement, than the Democrats. At least we see the Democrats coming and we can raise money off them. The establishment GOP, they're enemies.
Okay, John, you mentioned Randi Weingarten, and this I'll be confused about to my dying day. I understand teachers' unions decided they wanted to get paid to stay home and do nothing during COVID. I get that. But how could they be so dumb as to not realize all that poison they'd been putting in schools? They only got to do that because parents didn't know. Did they really not realize that that was their bread and butter?
I don't think they cared. They've been so powerful for so long. You got to remember something. Randi Weingarten's closest ally, one of them, but I think arguably her closest, is Hillary Clinton. They are friends going back for decades. In fact, Hillary announced her 2000 Senate run on stage with Weingarten. So this woman has had such tremendous and absolute power inside the Democratic Party now for decades. She didn't care. Democrats control the schools. They control the unions. She could get away with whatever she wanted until Loudoun County, Virginia became newsworthy. And that became the beginning of the end for Randi Weingarten's reign of power, but also her reign of propaganda and locking down dissent. And I just think we need to expose these people night and day. Guys out there like Corey DeAngelis and Chris Rufo are doing an awesome job, and they need air cover from the rest of us with some influence and with somewhat of a platform.
Don't miss Jesse Kelly Breaks History, The Forgotten Genocide, the first episode of a new series available now exclusively for First TV supporters. Visit the First TV app or thefirsttv.com to subscribe and start watching today.